Hello, everyone. Welcome to It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes here with Cameron Riley. How are you, Cameron?
Happy to be here as always. How's everybody doing?
Everybody being, oh, Damon. Damon, how are you?
I'm good. I don't know why my light starts to do this little haze. It's starting to bug me. Other than that, everything's fantastic.
Good. You were out on the water today?
I went and sat on the boat for a minute. I didn't get a chance to take it out, but
So
that's
what does that
coming.
look like? You take the boat, you put it, you take it to some water, you put it in the water, and you sit there.
No, I'm on a slip. So,
Oh,
so yeah,
oh, oh,
we
you
have
have
a
a
dock.
split.
Yeah, so we have. It's a whole community out there. Everybody, all the boaters. Yeah, it's about 50 boats out there.
Oh,
Nice, nice
nice.
community, nice
Yeah.
community.
Yeah, so
Uh,
sometimes we don't go out. Most of them guys don't go out. They like floating couches, but they got TVs and all this stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, my godfather used to have a boat, and it was down. It was parked on the lakefront, and there was no motor. It was a wine cellar. It
yeah,
was a
that's
Oh,
place.
that's
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
houseboat,
yeah,
summer home.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like, when are we gonna go out? Well, we can't go out because the boat doesn't have a motor. It can't move because your uncle would prefer to have fine vintages in the place of fine sailing, fine whining. Um, how's the weather there, you guys? I heard that it's been just a beautiful day,
Bill Withers, lovely day.
a
Yeah.
lovely day, a lovely day.
Absolutely perfect. Cannot complain. Again, shout out to climate change. Shout out to
Right,
global
we'll take
warming.
it.
Uh,
Not if you're on the other side of it. Not if
can't
you're anywhere on the East Coast from North Carolina on down. I would say maybe not the shout out that we would. It is just amazing the effect that climate change has had, even in places where we grew up being told that storms were not going to affect mountainous areas.
wait.
But due to climate change, the people of Asheville, North Carolina, know that's different, and
Yeah.
feeling the
Yeah.
effects of that is really. Were you all familiar with anyone who was affected by this?
Yeah. One of my friends along the North Carolina region checked in so that they were okay. Definitely experienced some devastation, but I'm glad that their family is doing well. They managed to heed the warnings and get out.
And I hope they had places to come back to, because
Yeah,
that was what I was finding.
yeah. So far from what they're saying, they're saying that the destruction isn't beyond repair, but they're also saying that that's home. I'm not
Mm,
going back anywhere else.
yeah. And they're paying the price for that. There's another discussion about the fact that even people who say, "Well, I'm going to go back and I'm going to build again," and the prices to be paid for that, not only in insurance, but um, the price of the property and all of that will go up, and it's certainly the insurance companies are going to make as much money as they can off of people going back and building, even though they whatever money they've given up. Um,
Yeah.
in payouts. It's just. What
Yeah.
about you, Damon? Anybody you know?
My sister is in Georgia, so she caught a little of the effects from Helene. And then the previous storm, Christiana, my daughter, she lives in New Orleans. So
Mm,
she was
Oh, okay.
powerless for a couple of days. And even here, when we had the tornadoes that came through the area, my home, while I was gone, was without power for 4 days.
oh,
So, climate change has its issues, but insurance companies are scams. They are the
They are.
they are the lousiest. That's the lousiest industry. Unless you are invested in insurance companies and you're making money off insurance,
right.
then it's the worst thing ever because you pay for it until you use it, and then when you use it, it costs more, or they'll dump you. Even in parts of like Northern California with the wildfires, they're not even taking policies in. They won't
Right.
even do it.
And
So
Florida is another one of those states.
yeah,
Yeah.
Just a very brief teaching moment to anyone out there. The first major insurance companies, from which all others are derived, uh, insured ships who were carrying uh, human goods
Yeah.
yeah,
as well.
Slaves. Yeah. Just say what it is. They were
Yes,
slave ships.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you look a little far, you don't really have to look that far. All the big international insurance companies, all date back to the Amistad days.
Yeah, that's
I
an
wonder what the
unfortunate
deductible was on a slave ship.
Well, they
another life.
I'm just 3 bubbles. I don't know what was it.
a flagon of beer. I don't know.
Wow. Wow. So Ahmed is affected by the fire and the clouds of smoke and chlorine that were nationalized over the weekend. People may have seen that on the national news. There's a bio lab, and Ahmed is in that neighborhood, and this isn't the first time it's happened. But he is currently moving his family out of the house into a hotel because the winds have shifted and apparently headed right in his home's direction. And so he's getting them out of there. And maybe he will check in with us before the show is over. We urged him not to rush and do that because he needs to take care of family first, obviously.
And then
Um,
hotels, they'll gouge you too in circumstances like that when
yeah,
there's a demand. It's ridiculous. It should be some regulatory issue when there's emergencies in the area that hotels can't shoot up the prices.
Right.
But they
Yep.
do.
and there was supposed to be some understanding with FEMA and other people because that's especially when it became to the forefront was during Katrina and how people were just ripped off. So, and there was supposed to be some federal rules saying you can't overcharge people for this or that or plywood to cover up their windows or whatever. But I think that's kind of fallen by the wayside. You can find out from Ned if he's experiencing that. Although that is, with all of the attention placed on what's going on with the storm victims, the people who are in the Atlanta area affected by this chlorine and other chemicals in the air, they may be real victims, and the businesses may be getting over on them. While people are like, hey, look over here, and while people are over here, getting overcharged. But
Classic bait and switch. Yes.
yeah. So let's talk about the What You Need to Know newsletter. This is our Monday through Friday effort to bring news to the African American community. And although I didn't understand the headline, 5 weeks from today is the election, and Cameron Riley wrote about the Black, female, and male populations in different parts of the country. The curious headline, it's raining black men.
Apparently, if you want a husband, you have to move to the West Coast.
I didn't get that from that article.
Well,
But okay.
it was supposed to be one of those eye catchers, to get you to read the rest of the article.
Well, and that's from the radio stations that I was dealing with today. That was pretty much it. And they're like, well, what? But go ahead. So it got our attention, but it really does talk about, especially in terms of demographics and how this affects the voting or getting out the vote in East Coast versus West Coast.
Yeah, the real issue at hand is that a lot of data analysts are pouring into census data now, and they're discovering some pretty interesting trends. One of which we all know too well is that, especially in some predominantly Black areas, Atlanta, Baltimore, Philadelphia, along like the Midwest to East Coast, there's more women than men. As a matter of fact, they estimate, and Damon, you could probably testify that this is probably a lot more severe than what they say, but for every 105 women in Atlanta, there's 100 men. I would bet that for every 130 women in Atlanta, there's 100 men. But on the West Coast, there are more men than women. And this heavily influences who gets jobs, who gets paid more, who gets access to education more, who gets benefits more. And this drastically changes everything about our life as Americans. And let's nuance it just a little bit about how did that happen to the Black community. And Sybil, you and Damon know as well as I do that 50s, 60s, and 70s, during the war on drugs, mass incarceration, COINTELPRO, the aftermath of the civil rights movement, Black men were just getting offed left and right, murdered, assassinated, locked up, disappeared, and otherwise. Entire family legacies were being erased during those years. Now we're really seeing what the aftermaths of that really looks like, to a point where Black men are becoming a smaller and smaller voting bloc, especially when you consider that women are more civically engaged than men, period. They vote more, they organize more, they participate more. And so I am starting to wonder then, when you look at who Kamala Harris is expecting to carry her to victory, it is women, it is Black women, and what are Black men asking for when they want more representation and opportunities? This is, politics is a game of predictive versus actual. It's a game of statistical trends. And I am curious to see how the trends shift over time as we discover that there are just more women than men in the country. I've discovered that a lot of women are driving my bus routes on the King Drive bus, the Cottage Grove bus. A lot of women are my post officers nowadays. They are out here getting these city jobs and these government jobs. A lot of men DoorDash and Grubhub in their girlfriends' names because they don't have licenses or cars. So these, like a lot of the systemic barriers that have stacked against Black men seem to be paying off in the system's favor. And so that is the thrust of the article that I had wrote. It's very interesting data.
Yeah.
Wow, that's the other part of that is the shooting deaths that take place on the murders that take place on our streets every day of young Black men, especially young Black women to a certain extent, but young Black men especially, and playing a part in that. Is that Damon? What do you think about this?
Well, with the ratio that you mentioned, like in Atlanta, for instance, you say 105 to 100, but then you got to count the guys that wear dresses.
Exactly. Yes, you have to take into account this factor.
I wasn't going there. I'm just saying, it's a lot of guys that shop at Lennox Mall, so I don't know how they identify. And you have to, appreciate people's identity. Sybil will participate in this, not at all. She looked down.
I'm just writing a note to Quinn.
Yes, you already knew it was coming. But it's very alarming, the fact that the way Black men especially have been marginalized and eliminated and eradicated in the ways that you mentioned, because you see it. And then you see the number of disenfranchised men when you drive through a neighborhood at any given time. There's so many guys that are just on the street or on the corner or making it from here and there. And it's one thing to try to be an entrepreneur, so you don't want to work for the system and don't want to be in there. It's another thing to just be languishing and not participating in any shape or form. So we really need to address that. But in the meantime, thank God for Black women. No matter if they have beards or not. I gave you all the factual, statistical.
And that's why you're here. That's
just exactly so everybody knows.
Yeah. Let us not forget what your profession is.
Saucy Santana? That's all I'm saying.
Just
you are so demure. Yes, you are.
Yes, very demure.
So demure. Yeah.
Just to all of the women out there who are wondering, if you're in the Midwest or the East Coast and you're wondering, how come I can't find a good man? You should probably move to California.
Well, my family in California would probably disagree with those statistics. But it's like, oh, go west, young woman. But it's.
But you're gonna be homeless when you get there.
Yeah,
so you might as well stay home at your own house and let that dude DoorDash in your car.
Right. That's how we gonna end up. No.
There you go.
But that's a poor representation, because there are a lot of prominent head of household,
of course,
Black men who are doing what they need to do. So I want to stand on that. All my friends are heavily involved with their families, and they're leaders of their homes, and they're married. So I know, but there's a lot that aren't. So it's It's very interesting. I'm sure it was very interesting delving into that for you, Cameron.
Yeah, yeah. I I think that when it comes to the election, and we're eager to see who it is that shows up and who it is that continues to participate, and also who the Democrats are relying on to carry Vice President Kamala Harris to victory. She's certainly banking on women for sure. And it is no surprise then that because statistically and in real life, men feel marginalized and excluded. That's like prime territory for Donald Trump and MAGA to come in and capitalize and turn that into some sort of toxic war against gender. When those things were only ever used to divide and conquer, as they've often done.
So women also, by them being a driving force, they have the one caveat of the fact that we still need you, we still want you, and we still desire you. So if women had a campaign that said no booty, no vote, no booty, we could drive the polls. The men, well, no matter what they do, they're gonna want the woman. So if the women say, look, this is what you need to do, you need that stick her to stick her. It's just that simple. I voted, gets you in the house and gets you in the spot. Simple as that. And then you can still take them to only Cheesecake Factory or cheap restaurants.
And it doesn't matter because you did your civic duty.
Thank
you. Yeah. Despite the commentary, we'd love to have you take a look at our newsletter. And amongst the other items that are discussed in the newsletter in Black Health Matters and our association with that organization, prices for prescription pharmaceutical drugs have skyrocketed disproportionately, making them harder for people of color to afford, according to this report. Not new news. This is not, breaking news here. But 1 in 3 Americans cannot afford their prescription drugs, according to the report. And these high drug prices particularly affect Black and Latino households. Take a look at that. Also, Coy Malone, our social justice contributor, talks about the fact that the Lexington, Mississippi police purposely violated civil rights of Black citizens. That story is from the report by the Justice Department, found several violations within the Lexington, Mississippi Police Department. And yes, it is Tuesday, and CPA to the stars, Katrina M. Kraft, talks about different types of real estate investments that you might want to make. So we appreciate if you would subscribe, it's absolutely free. Please go to SybilWilkes.com, give us your name and your email address. We'll have it in your email box every Monday through Friday morning. And that's all you got to do is just subscribe. And then when you get it every day, please open it and take a look at the newsletter. We'd appreciate that.
And then read it, because you can make yourself sound way smarter than you are if you just read Sybil's newsletter, and then you can contribute to the water cooler conversations, because it's broken down for you. It's concise, and it's 5 minutes of your day, but you can be informed by reading this newsletter. Trust me when I tell you.
Thank you so much for that endorsement, Damon.
These are facts.
I support that fact.
Indeed.
I'm Sybil Wilkes. We're going to move to the question of the day. What's really going on? Today is the 100th birthday of former President Jimmy Carter.
Oh,
yeah.
Born this day in 1924. He told his family he lost his wife earlier this year. He's been in hospice for years, and no one expected him to outlive his wife. But he has, and despite his bouts with cancer, bouts plural, with cancer and other illnesses, he's, as the song says, he's still here. And so we would like to join all the others. President Biden went on and created a greeting to the former president. But the question is, and we'll talk about all the people that have done something in honor of Jimmy Carter's birthday. But the question is, who is that person in your life, in your community, in your family that has reached that age? It doesn't have to be 100, but of a golden age, who you just think deserves a shout out, who deserves to be honored in that way. A lot of people, the Carter Museum opened up their website, and people could send photos and birthday greetings to the former president and things like that. And people such as I said, President Biden, former President Obama also sent him a greeting as part of the former president's club. But I'm just really curious, who is that person? Do you guys have the elders in your family who you would like to, shout out and give some love to?
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean,
I
first of all,
absolutely do. I mean, it's my mother. She is the matriarch of our family. We celebrated her 80th, and all of her kids and grandkids and great grands. We were all there, and some of the nieces and nephews of her sister who is deceased. Um, and it was just amazing to see that one person, spawned this entire tribe of people.
hmm
Because I have one son, he has no children, so my picture would be completely different. So and for her to be actually the person where everybody at some point has stayed at 9719 when they had an issue. My mother's house has always been the way station to transition people from whatever they were going through to get to their next station in life, and now they're
nice.
all
So
doing what
needed.
they do.
Yeah.
So, and
That
she's
is
had
so
that
cool.
home. We moved there in December of 19 in the 1900s and 73. So it's that's just amazing, and she's held it down. So shouts out to Linda J. Woods, which is her maiden name, and then there are other iterations from marriage, but they don't count.
That's right. That's right. Well, we salute your mom. That's a beautiful story. And Cameron, you live in a house with three different generations.
Yeah. So I guess you're just sort of asking me who's my favorite.
No, 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 no. I would never, because I know it's your mom. But
Oh,
but definitely, I mean, and it might be, friends of the family. In my case.
yeah. Well, my grandma's birthday is coming up on October 10th, so I'll do her a solid and just wish her a happy early birthday.
Nice.
It was my grandmother that had made the journey from the south to the north, settled on the west side of Chicago, on Holman and Crenshaw.
All right.
And just like what had Damon had mentioned, everybody had stopped through that house at one point in time to just be raised, and she is certainly the great matriarch of our family.
Where did she
She'll be
start in the South?
uh, around Belzoni, Mississippi.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our Jay's people, I believe, are from Belzoni.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
My grandmother's people are from Yazoo City.
Okay.
hmm hmm
Hmm.
Wow.
And how old will Grandma be?
She will be 82. She'll be
Nice,
82.
nice, nice, very nice. Nice.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing: we're losing people quicker. And I'm not suggesting anything with your relatives, but we are losing people in our community, whether they're in entertainment or whatever. Just like today, and we'll talk about this a little bit later. John Amos passed away. He was in his 80s. Chris Christopherson died the other day. He was 88. Those are good lives. I mean, when you get to your 80s, I think, because I lost my parents much sooner than that. I think that's the sign of good living. When you're able to get, or as Yolanda's grandmother used to call it, bonus time. When you get to that point. But I do want us to be mindful of the fact that we celebrate while they're here and give them their flowers while we can, and they can smell the fragrance of the love that the flowers and the love that you are giving to them. So we'd like you to join us today and talk about that. Um, in his tribute to his good friend Jimmy Carter, President Biden talked about him, and President Carter is the first American president to reach 100 years of age.
Oh.
He said, "How many days until Jimmy Carter turns 100?" was a part of the Twitter, I call it so-called Twitter account. In his account, it posted, it says, "It's midnight in Georgia, the moment we've been waiting for. Jimmy Carter is now officially 100 years old. Happy birthday, Mr. President." And he specifically said he wanted to live long enough to vote for Kamala Harris.
Mm.
It's very cool.
Oh,
Uh, the former president posted the clip to his Twitter account, captioning it, to put it simply, "I admire you so darn much." The video consists of images of President Carter as president and his later work, including his more than 35 years of volunteering with Habitat for Humanity.
mhm.
Um, as I said, President Obama also posted a video in which he speaks directly to the camera, saying, "I've always admired President Carter for so many things: his achievements, his accomplishments in the White House, his incredible impact since leaving office, his fundamental decency.
Yep.
Jimmy, thank you for your friendship, your example, and for always finding new ways to remind us that we are all created in God's image. Happy birthday." Very nice. Very
Yeah.
nice. Uh,
And what did
the
Trump
gov-
say?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And what did Trump say today?
I don't have anything regarding his birthday greetings. No, I don't.
Jimmy, I love Jimmy. Thank you,
Yeah.
Jimmy.
We'll never hear that from.
Great guy. People have said he's a great guy. Some say it, some say he's not so great. Some
Some
say
say
he was
I'm
a
better.
terrible
Yeah.
president. Not as great as me, of course, as a
Right.
president.
Right. The Georgia Governor Brian Kemp declared today Jimmy Carter Day in the state of Georgia, and he posted, "Marty, the girls and I send best wishes as he and his family celebrate this milestone." And it really is a milestone. And so that is just amazing and a life well lived. I was really struck by President Carter and his life after the White House. So much more so than, because all of the noise that came in during his time with the hostages held in Iran, and all of that went on
The
there,
energy
the
crisis.
economy, yeah, the energy crisis, and all of the things that he just came in at a time where he couldn't do anything right, to the point where when he was running for president, it was virtually unheard of someone to run against the incumbent president.
Mhm.
And that's what Ted Kennedy did. And that caused a whole big folderol, in politics as well as in the media. But once he and Rosalind Carter left the White House, their lives flourished.
Yep.
They really did, and they took on a number of causes, not the least of which was putting Habitat for Humanity on the map, and really leading people to recognize the great gift that is volunteerism, and how we can must do as Jesus did in the carpenters amongst us, and build homes for those who are unable to afford them at the current rate and what have you, and having known people that have uh, flourished in their homes, and I have done that in a couple of different instances working for home building organizations. It really does something to your soul and to your spirit, and to see people who benefit from this, and how their lives go on as a result of that. Good on you, Mr. Carter. And his wife did so much in terms of mental health, and also just really being the first lady who was more of a partner in this publicly than anyone, and I would say with the exception of Eleanor Roosevelt. But that was a different kind of a situation with the way the media is. But she was really given her props by the media for being, sitting in on the meetings and really wanting to know what was going on and how she could help and be an influence when she went out to talk for first lady stuff, and people were going to ask her about these things, and she wanted to be up to date and know what was going on. So I don't know if we have anybody who wants to shout out the elders or the older people in their families. Michelle and Summerall on Facebook. My grandmother lived to see 101, almost 102. My mother is 88, and I cherish them both. Oh my God, I bet you do. Michelle, I just wonder, would you like to live to the grand old age of 101? I'm just really curious about. Would you
Not
guys
unless
like to live? I mean,
Mm.
as Dr. King said, longevity has its place. But I'm just wondering, the reason why I said living to your 80s, that would seem to be good enough for me, unless I'm still kicking in my 80s, the way I am now. But I think that there comes a point where, one day you go to wake up and you go to get up out of bed and you're like, this is not the easy task that it used to be.
Yeah, I just attended a service for a woman who lived to be 103, and
Wow.
she was on her way to 104. Matter of fact, October 6th would have been 104. And she literally said to them, she was just tired. She wanted to go and meet her husband. She was married for 51 years, and she just wanted to go home to him and
Mm.
go that way. I, on the other hand, if I could still see and think, I want to live. So I've been saying the goal is 100 for my wife and I, and I said I'm still gonna be romantic. I'm still gonna run bath water, in that tub with the door on it, uh, the walk-in tub, and she gonna be like, "Hold on, let me go upstairs and get my nightgown." I'm like, "Hurry back now!" And by the time she
Don't
come back
forget
down,
me.
I will have dozed off in the tub. My life alert to be wet. By the time she make it back to the bathroom, the fire department will be there. That's my goal.
Damon, I pray that you reach your goal. I really do.
Yep, that's the goal.
Cameron, what about you?
Yeah. I mean, I just love seeing how it all happens. The world's changing so much, and the world also needs people like us to just speak knowledge and speak truth
Hmm.
into people. When I've told my sisters before, if I ever become one of those old scraggly bigoted old dudes, just take me out back.
And do what?
Just
Leave you there?
just take me out back and say, Cameron, it's time for you to go. I ain't going nowhere. I ain't going nowhere.
As long as you got your faculties and you're not wearing diapers, it's
Yeah.
I think that I've seen people that go beyond octogenarian and be thriving.
Hmm.
And that's the goal. That's what you want to say to the atmosphere, because there's power in the tongue, there's life and death in the tongue.
Right.
So to live a long, healthy life of 100 would be awesome. But if you got 105 up there and I'm still kicking it, let's go. Because
Okay.
who knows what the modern advances will be 30
Exactly.
years from now.
Yeah.
So 100, then 100 will be like the 80, the new 80.
Yep.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh.
But the thing that I always want, I want to have my mind. I just
Yeah.
want to be in my right mind. I really do. That's my greatest.
Well, I want to have my man,
desire.
and I want to know if anybody's fiddling with me too. I want to be able to say, "Stop that! What are you doing with that baby oil?"
Uncle Diddy. Okay, so Yolanda, do we have others people who want to give shout outs? Gwen Turner on YouTube. Shout out to my 91-year-old mother, Ella. What a
91.
blessing and
Hey,
and to have had her for so long. What a blessing indeed. Thanks for sharing that with us, Gwen. We appreciate it. Aubrey W on YouTube. I would most definitely like to shout out and show love to my mama, Mary. She just turned 80 last month and she's still driving and thriving. Amen.
exactly.
Amen. That's awesome. I love that. And we'll wrap up with these. Dora Levette Tiggs, my oldest brother, she says on Facebook, will be 82 in December, and oldest sister will be 80 this month. Oh, that is so great.
Yeah.
That is so awesome.
Y'all made
Well,
it past the threshold. Yeah.
okay, yeah, for
And it's
sure.
good to know that people that are siblings to 80-year-olds know
Right.
how to work the computer. 'Cause they don't do it. I don't even know how to text chat in here. Y'all out there working the computer.
So
Yeah,
let's go out and celebrate all of our elders and enjoy them and sit there and ask them questions. That's the one regret I have when we had video cameras and still available to talk. Our my grandparents were still available to talk to them, and my cousins did that, ask questions. When you were my age and that kind of thing. And I did not. I never saw the finished product, but I really regret not having those, and to take a look back at them. And because, my dad had a great sense of humor and I found out that he got it from his mom. Well, and some of the things that she said, my cousin said, were really quite humorous, and I would like to have seen that. So,
And I ordered this thing online. It's called Tales, where it's maybe 150 questions that
hmm
they have that you can ask your elders while they're cognizant, so you can get their life story and remember who they are. I'll post it up. As a matter of
Oh,
fact, it's
cool.
right over there.
that would be awesome. That would be awesome. Yolanda, let's close out with that Midnight Rider on YouTube. Shout out to my grandmother who gave birth to 12 children, raised 11 after losing one in a house fire. She faced many challenges in her home and community, even after becoming an ordained minister. Your
Wow.
grandmama was an ordained minister, Midnight Rider. Oh, God bless her. God bless
Mm.
her.
Mhm.
Wow. 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 Well, thank you so much for sharing and happy birthday, Mr. President Jimmy Carter. And may God bless you.
Oh,
150
nice. Prompts. Yeah.
prompts, Tales, Tales. Awesome. You should do that, especially like with the holidays coming up and you got people around the Thanksgiving and the Christmas tables and New Year's and what have you.
Well,
Yeah.
I've been
After
wanting to
that,
write. I'm
around.
sorry, Ken. Yeah,
I was gonna say after that.
I've been wanting to write a book, so I'm going to ask myself these questions.
There you go.
Right.
Do-
Yeah.
Those are prompts for
Yeah.
sure. Yep. Let's move to trending topics. And Damon, where you headed? What you doing?
Actually, I'm playing the feud. We're doing a Family Feud live. I'm calling this a family trivia because I think I can't really be calling it the game show. But we're playing that game this Wednesday. It'll be every Wednesday, and teams can sign up on Eventbrite, and then there is cash prizes. Like if you
Awesome.
win, you double your money, and then if you win the fast money, that doubles. So it's literally. But we did it last week. It was so much fun, so interactive. We're gonna do it as long as I can get away with it. Then we just announced that. Well, Saturday I'll be at the Hard Rock with Babyface in Gary, Indiana.
Oh, nice.
And then the following weekend, we're back at Ameristar Casino. That show is back on sale. Damon Williams and friends, and I got some great friends coming this month. Joe Claire from Rap City. Who else? Mike Bonner from Detroit. Uncle Rail, Chicago. It's gonna be great. So those are the things that are up and coming. And I need people to sell that out because I want to recur there because I'm not doing riddles. But
Right.
if it's not popping, then that's not going to remain. But there's no drink minimum. It's a lot different from going to a comedy club. It's a great time.
So,
And Gavin
Damon,
wants
give
to
that
also.
information one more time.
Okay, Ameristar Casino, East
Mhm.
Chicago. And that is October 11th. It's Friday, October 11th. The next one will be November 8th and then December 13th in this series that I'm doing. And that's on universe.com.
Universe.com. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll put that out there too. Absolutely. As I mentioned earlier, it was announced today that John Amos has died. The actor known for, of course, for television and for the movies, died at the age of 84. Um, his son confirmed his death, which he said took place August 21st. Yes, this is the 1st of October. So those are, and then there have been questions about his health and who was taking care of him. And there was some disputes between his two children, his daughter and his son, regarding the caregiving and caretaking of Mr. Amos. And so now his son, Christopher, uh, Kelly Christopher, or KC, confirmed his father died of natural causes in Los Angeles on August 21st. It is with heartfelt sadness I share with you that my father has transitioned. He was a man with the kindest heart and the heart of gold, and he was loved the world over. Many people consider him their TV father. He lived a good life. His legacy will live on in his outstanding works in television and film as an actor. He went on to say, my father loved working as an actor throughout his entire life, most recently in Suits LA, playing himself, and our documentary, promoting a documentary about his life journey as an actor, America's Dad. He was my dad, my best friend, and my hero. Thank you for your prayers and support at this time. Just curious, I know of people who have had the deaths of a parent and they haven't announced it immediately.
Mhm.
Um, and there were some issues in the family. Let's just put it that way. But this comes more than a year after John Amos entered the hospital due to fluid filling his body and causing issues with his heart. And at one time, they said that he had they'll drain the fluid from his body. He was on the mend and blah, blah, blah. This came as his daughter Shannon alleged that her father was a victim of elder abuse. In June of 2023, he denied it. She then filed a complaint with the Colorado Bureau of Investigation and created a GoFundMe page to raise care expenses for the star, and which she later removed from the boards at his request. In March of 2024, he called the claims of elder abuse false and unmerited. He also referred to his son KC as a caring, thoughtful human being who respects me. And that same month, a rep for Shannon said the producer worried that her father's health was being downplayed despite multiple hospitalizations. So you can see there's a lot of push and pull back and forth between the siblings. And she said people think that it's about his money and rivalry. It's not. I love my brother. Hope he'll get the help he needs. But we need to prioritize the safety of my father, who is vulnerable first and foremost. Anything else can be addressed within our family. So the police came, they took a report, they launched an investigation into Shannon's claims about her brother and wasn't providing the appropriate care for the father. They then closed the case due to a lack of evidence. And then at that time, John Amos thanked people for their love and their interest, and thanked the LA authorities for their professionalism and thoroughness in the investigation. Um, but that's just a really sad ending, both for the family and for a man like John Amos. James never would have allowed that on Good Times. You
No,
get out of here with that noise. Y'all, y'all are brother and sister. Come on, this isn't the way that you
that's.
want to go out.
I mean, just the fact that you just stunned me with the date of his passing. I thought it was literally today,
Yeah,
and I'm sure many people did, especially
yeah,
those that only look at TMZ or don't read fine print. But yeah, family mess that can be tragic. Fortunately, it was followed up on, and authorities determined that that was a lie, and he was able to actually vouch for that. And I remember seeing something about that back when that was taking place. But it's still an unfortunate way to go out. You have siblings bickering. You have the push and pull with the person in the middle, and then the exploitation of asking for money. So all of
yeah,
that becomes a problem.
yeah. Do you have a favorite John Amos role?
Hmm.
Yeah, when he was in Uptown Saturday Night or Let's Do It Again. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I love those roles. Of course, when he was in Roots and Good Times, but I like the flavor he had back then because it was, they were '70s hustlers. He had a
Right.
gold tooth, and he's like that chunk, yeah.
I go back with him to the old Mary Tyler Moore show when he was
Mm,
a member of the TV station, and also more recently he was a member of the West Wing cast. He played, I want to say, he wasn't the Secretary of Defense, but his name was Fitzwater, and he was very cool in that as well. You, Cameron, were you a John Amos fan? Do you remember watching him as a kid?
I remember watching Good Times, definitely. I didn't follow the career much after that, but that's also around the time where I just started listening to metal. So there's that.
I really respect how he left that show. He said it was too much silliness, and the way that they were allowing the silliness to take over the real themes
Yep.
that the show had become famous for. And he said he realized his worth, when he stepped away and wouldn't come back, and or said he wasn't coming back until they changed it, and they said, okay, we'll just kill you off. He goes, well, okay, that's what an actor's job is, to go in to play a role, and when you're both tired of each other, you leave and they kill you off.
yeah.
But he survived. He did, and had a great life and a great career after that. We're still sending out prayers to people, as we mentioned earlier, prayers out to people affected by Helene, and as the cleanup continues, but the stories of people losing their lives, and how this all has come to play, and the fact that there are more storms still out there to come, that we're not done with the hurricane season yet, is one of great concern. Um, and this came out today that Sean Combs was hit with a wave of 120 new sexual assault allegations. A Texas-based attorney said he's representing more than 100 accusers in a series of new lawsuits that he's filing today against Diddy. At a news conference, Tony Busby said he's representing 120 accusers of allegations against the entertainment mogul that occurred over 20 years. He added the allegations will include violent sexual assault or rape, facilitated sex with a controlled substance, dissemination of video recordings, sexual abuse of minors.
Mm.
He said, many powerful people, many dirty secrets. And he added
Yeah.
that his team has collected pictures, video, and text.
Yee.
Yeah. I mean, to people wondering out there, I mean, let's just look at it from just like a litigation standpoint. The
Mhm.
point of this tactic is to tax Diddy's legal team's resources.
Right.
They still have to investigate whether or not these claims are true. And the
And
more
then there's
time
that.
they spend pouring into each and every case, is the less time they can spend getting the feds off of Diddy's back.
Right.
So
The federal case is much bigger, and depending on where this is in Texas, I don't know if he pursued it in federal court in the state of Texas, but it's and I'm not saying that he's guilty or not guilty, although he's presumed not guilty. Um, but how much more piling on? It's when is enough enough? I guess I'm asking. And I'm not taking away from the people that feel as though they've been victimized by whatever it is, but at some point you got to say
yeah, and like that,
no mas.
and that Rico stuff is also very serious.
Right? Yeah.
The more narratives that they can bring forth, the more underlings they can loop into this whole Rico thing. The whole Rico charge was invented because the feds and the DEA couldn't get to the mob
Right. Yeah. It's
because
all
their
mob
dealings
related.
were so legit. They needed to come up with some kind of way to just associate them all at once in the organization. So,
Which is really so interesting, Cameron, when you talk about RICO and the fact that Fonnie Willis came up with, the RICO violations and used that not only in the case against school board members in Atlanta, but most recently in the Donald Trump case. And people were like, "Whoa, RICO, that's mob related." But to understand how they work that in order to bring those people in on charges is I think it's fascinating. I think it's really very interesting.
yeah.
The use of the law. Yeah.
And that I mean, you got to be some type of freak that there's so many people that it's gonna have to be a class action lawsuit at this point
Right.
because it's so many accusers, and that's crazy. I don't know how this goes on this long. I know it's always been rumors and rumblings. I've
Right.
heard things even when Biggie was alive, and
Hmm.
he had lyrics like banging every MC easily, and in the background, Diddy was take that, and that was always known under certain circles of him being abusive
Right.
toward people. Like, if you want to sign a deal, you got to take that, and so.
Hmm.
The groups are making it a band, all those guys, they're
Hmm.
all this
Danity
stuff is
Kane and all that.
surfacing.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything is surfacing. So they say what's done in the dark will eventually come to the light. So watch yourselves out there, you freaks.
The one and only vice presidential debate is taking place tonight. Will either of you watch?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to JD Vance. Just walking into a trap. He is a lot younger. He's got something to prove. He and Trump both see Tim Walz as weak, and so they're going to try to go for the jugular there. But I think that the Dems are going to play the same playbook like they did with Vice President Harris, which is just let them talk themselves into their own trap of just unsubstantiated nonsense.
Yeah. I want to see some comeuppance in this as well, Cameron. What about you, Damon?
Yeah, I'm waiting for the blunders. I expect JD Vance to be a blunderous idiot. If he gets off script or if you rattle him emotionally, he's gonna say something like you said, nonsensical. And so that's all I'm looking for. I'm just looking for the moments when he gets rattled, because he's just as goofball as his boss.
Yeah.
And once they get off script, they'll say some outlandish things. So that's what I'm looking for, and I'm hoping for that, because
I want
I
to
don't know
see,
much about Tim. I've just seen a lot of JD's nonsense.
and I want him to use that average school teacher, football coach, your best friend's dad kind of.
Get it together, son.
Yeah, yeah. What? Just what? You're weird. Yeah, you are
Yeah.
weird. Okay, we just established that. But
I'm not
what
mad.
are you
Just
saying?
disappointed.
You lied about people eating dogs and cats, and you kept it going to further your campaign. Is that what you're saying?
Mhm.
Man,
Yeah.
He admitted that he. So I want him to bring it down to brass tacks and say, "Come on, son.
Mm.
Come
right.
on. What are you saying?" So the debate starts in about an hour, and it runs for 90 minutes, and open mics as opposed to the presidential candidates. And they will have a couple of breaks, and they'll be moderated by two CBS News employees, the evening news anchor Nora O'Donnell and Face the Nation host Margaret Brennan. So
And
it'll be
that's it until the big day, right?
that's pretty much it. Yeah, because Donald Trump says that the voting has already started, and there's no point in having a debate.
It's too
Yeah,
late.
yeah. He's also still feeling the sting of the first debate. So
You got cooked.
And he is spiraling out of control and saying more and more ridiculous things, to the point where there's a X/Twitter profile called Republicans Against Donald Trump. And they're just saying he's just a pathological liar.
Yeah.
Like he said, like the governor of Georgia couldn't get in touch with the
Right.
president.
The governor's like,
And the
I
governor's
just
like, I
talked
just
to
got
him.
off the phone with the president. He called me first. Like these are things that can be substantiated in seconds. But his base is so gullible that
Right.
they believe what he says.
Yep.
Meanwhile, there's missiles and rockets taking place, in other
All over the place.
areas.
We talked about
Yeah.
that. That's what I spent my day watching is, what's happening next in the Middle East. And what does this mean for a president that is about to leave office and one guy who was already under the thumb of the Israeli prime minister?
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's move to something lighthearted in entertainment. And
Let's
this
go.
is another lawsuit. Lauryn Hill has been sued by Praz Michel of the Fugees. He sued her for fraud, breach of contract after the Miseducation Anniversary Tour was canceled.
Imagine that.
Over their shortened 2023 run and quietly canceled the anniversary tour in 2024. The lawsuit filed today cites that Lauryn Hill's touring company, MLH, alleges that the vocalist and her touring company, MLH, had complete control over the business aspects of the tour, which allowed her to have a total lack of transparency over the tour's management, including the handling of money. And he said they left bills behind in which he is still paying. And, he's already been found guilty in a federal suit. And so he's paying that back, and he's also having to pay back some of these other things that have come as a result of MLH and Lauryn Hill. He said they neglected to pay all of the expenses she budgeted for with regards to the 2023 run, including hotel, credit card bills, musicians, and crew, which he claims are still due and owing in whole or in part. And he said after a lackluster solo tour, he believes that she pitched to Wyclef about the idea of the 25th anniversary and thought that she was going to be making a lot of money, and her only chance for her to sell tickets for shows at arena-sized venues and feeded her insatiable ego, he said. So no love lost between them. And she may be late to court, but they'll wait, I think, in order to come across with something. It's just sad.
She just late getting to the post office. Everybody gonna get paid. Laura moves in a different dimension. There was some event that just had a cancellation.
Yeah, it was in Europe. Was it in Europe or someplace?
I'm not even sure, but
It was like 3 o'clock in the morning.
but then she was also late as well. So, I mean, it's a broken record. And
Yeah.
it's so crazy that there's so much notoriety and demand and clamoring for her because she only has one album and like one Fuji's album. It's not
Man.
like they have several
Yeah, like
albums
a
or
catalog of
Yeah. It's not like she Mary J. Blige. You know, Mary got a lot of music, you know, but she gonna be in jail with Diddy. So
Wow. Let's close out with our jewel. The theme this week is joy. Joy is contagious. It spreads and uplifts those around us.
hey,
Go out there and spread joy, fellas.
Yeah.
Good luck to you, Med, and your family. And let's pray for those people affected by Helene. Thank you. Aloha.
holla.